We're 26, and a lot of the real estate owners are older. I was a little nervous to get in front of these guys because they'd be like, well, why would I pick you? Nobody really cares if you know what you're talking about and you're willing to, do whatever it takes for them, to get a deal done or anything, really. So,
welcome to the Heartland Multifamily Show, the shorter, more profitable path to multifamily ownership and investing.
You expose me. I'm going to start exposing
you. Already do expose me.
Hey, you know what, guys? Here's a question I got a few days, got it last week during the PBD Mastermind you guys happened to miss. All right. Well, the question I got was, what is the most memorable part of your wedding? So if you had one memory to pick out of your wedding, when I was thinking about it, I was thinking about, with me, what do you not see it? What was kind of different compared to maybe other weddings? This is, by the way, this is 1989. 2 words. Police escort.
You guys had a police escort?
Police escort, yes. One of the advantages of living in a small town and getting to know law enforcement is you were on kind of a first name basis with a lot of the cops in town. So let me ask you guys. Let's talk wedding stuff. What stood out as like one of the most memorable things at your wedding?
Hands down, it was the door opening to my wife and my father-in-law walking down the aisle. Hands down. Yep. So I've got a picture frame of my reaction and a picture frame next to that one of her and her dad walking.
Well, that's
down the
cool.
aisle. Yeah.
That's cool. You want to know what Gina G was doing when she started walking down the aisle?
Cartwheels.
Oh no, she was bawling her head off.
Oh yeah.
She's crying like crazy.
Of happiness, or was she a little scared?
Oh, it was happy.
Okay.
It was happy. But yeah, she was bawling like crazy. That's cool. That's really cool. What about you, Z? What kind of stands out that it's like one of the most memorable things from your wedding?
When you were officiating and Abby's song was playing for her to finally come walk down the aisle, she didn't come out.
That's
Remember
right.
that? For 3 or 4 minutes.
Yeah, we're waiting.
The whole song played, and then it was quiet.
We're kind of looking around like, right?
So I had like a big pit in my stomach. Abby was pregnant, so I was like, does she not want to do this now or what? So I was like really nervous and then scared. But then it's kind of funny because she's late to everything. So you know the joke, you'd be late to your own funeral?
Mm-hmm.
She was late to her own wedding. We had to replay the song again, and then, we had to go back and get her and then tell her to come out.
Yeah.
She just didn't know. But,
yeah,
kind of funny.
Yeah, I remember that. I was thinking, I wonder what's going on.
Well, she was the only one back there. So I'm like...
There was nobody else back there
No.
with her, and I didn't know that.
No, so I was like, oh, shit.
Yeah, when that was happening, you of course, you start thinking worst case scenario. It's like, okay, what's going on? What's happening?
She came out smiling, real happy.
Yeah.
But didn't know that everyone was waiting.
Well, everybody else is thinking, everybody's kind of wondering what was going on there.
Yeah,
I bet it was longer than 3 or 4 minutes.
Yeah. Because Roper was sitting in the aisle, and in his big tan suit, he was like, looking. I just kept remember seeing him look back and forth, and I'm like, oh gosh.
Yeah.
Everyone has came here, and I hope nothing bad happens.
Yeah.
But then she just didn't know.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. Yeah, I definitely remember that. So you guys got really good momentum going, working together and working on the apartment stuff, getting the brokerage stuff going. We're working on the capital raise stuff too. So there's a lot of balls up in the air. But if there's one thing that's really like clear to me and evident to me is you guys got a ton of momentum going so far into the middle of the year. And if you keep up this kind of momentum through the end of the year, I mean, you guys are going to finish the year, I would say probably better than maybe what you had thought you would. Talk a little bit about that, where you are and kind of how you got to where you're at and what you're thinking you're looking at between now and the end of the year.
I would say we are actually already a few years ahead of schedule.
You said a few years.
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't think we'd be doing, the size of the deals, the volume of the deals, that we're doing.
Of the buildings too.
Yeah, with new clients that weren't introduced to us by you for a few years. Why, I don't really know. I just think it takes time to nurture those leads. Like, it's not too often where, you call somebody and they're like, yeah, let's do something. So maybe there was a little bit of luck involved and timing and stuff like that. But yeah, I didn't think those opportunities would come until 3, 4, 5 years down the road. And so yeah, I'd say we're, at least in my opinion, we're quite a bit ahead of schedule. And I think that has something to do with, a lot to do with mentorship and, what needs to be done and how it needs to be done and why it needs to be done. And it's not, that's coming from somebody that has done it at, a high level. I think that's a big factor. We both have this relentless desire to succeed, not just financially, but, amongst a player in the game,
Yep.
Amongst providing for the family and all that stuff. And so I think, once we realized, what opportunity there could be, I think that relentless desire kind of kicked in and it was like, well, let's do it. So yeah, I'd say we're far ahead of schedule, and which is great. I mean, I didn't think it was going to come this quick, and it's not like we're Elon Musk or anything like that, or Jeff Bezos, but yeah, that's where I'd say we're at. So.
Z, what about you?
I'd agree with him. Like, kind of spot on. Last year when Trot came back in November, and we were sitting in here. You weren't here. We were sitting in here, drawing up on the board all these different scenarios and things. Oh, if we can get this guy to sell, and
I remember seeing that
this.
because you had like a flow chart thing
Yep.
going, right?
Yeah, and it was
Yeah,
it was on one of those. What do they call them? Like the tripods, but it's
Big ass board with the markers.
where you put the paper on it with the
Easel,
an easel. It was on an easel.
whiteboard,
Yeah,
like a
with the big-
whiteboard tablet easel.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, we were just sitting in here. He wasn't even officially working here yet. And we were going through playing the matching game. Well, if we get this guy to buy this guy to sell, he can roll it into this, and then we have this whole thing going. And we were doing it for what, an hour?
Yeah, probably.
And that's when when we were done, I was like, I'm so excited. Like, whatever's going to come, it's going to be awesome. Even if we don't get action right away, there's going to be action, like, not in no time, but I really believed that him and I working together was going to be a no-brainer, awesome. Obviously, Trot coming back wasn't exactly the circumstances we thought it would be, but I'm really glad it happened because we also make a really good team with, we were talking about this on the way to the lake, just on the phone. He's really good at once the deal starts and there needs to go back and forth either with underwriting or just negotiations back and forth. He's really good at handling that. But I'm really good at just bringing the clients in, talking with them, getting them kind of under our wing, and then kind of let Trot do his thing with them. So we play a really good team start to finish.
So I would say that's probably accurate just based on what I've seen so far. So you're pretty good at bringing them in and getting them on the field. Let's use that analogy.
Yeah.
Get them on the field. You start going down the field, and then Trot's good at getting them over the goal line. Pretty much. Right? Is that pretty accurate, you guys think?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too, just based on what I've seen so far.
And I'm good at bugging the shit out of people.
Yeah. Well, and here's the deal about that. Nobody else will do it. And when I say nobody else, of course, there's maybe one or two, but hardly anybody else will do it. And when you guys are bringing in listings in the amount of 20 plus million, and you got one that was, for a while you were working on, and that just didn't work out, over 50 million, right? That was over 50 million for that project. And then you just secured another one you're working on, the newer construction. Is that 40 some million? I think that's what that is, around 40 million.
A little bit more.
I think
is the hope.
Yeah. And what's funny about that is, so when I think of those numbers and I go back to when I was like you guys, and starting out, of course, 30 plus years ago, values were different than they are today. So there's a little bit of that involved in what I'm going to tell you. But, one of the largest properties that I put together was 352 units in Davenport, called the Winding Hills Apartments. And that was back then, guys, this will blow your mind, that was a $7 million deal back then. Okay, 7 million something. No, it was 8 million something. I'm sorry, 8 million something. 8 million something. And it took me about 5 years to get to that, probably. About 5 years. Yeah. And so, being able to have the kind of conversations you guys are having with the kind of consistency, and you don't give a shit who they are when you call them and you talk to them. You just want to see if you can maybe put a deal together for their benefit too. For their benefit too. And so these guys that are owning the $40 million, $50 million properties, they're not like beginners. They got to that point because they're smart guys. And so for them to put their faith in you guys, which translates somewhat in terms of money. Yeah, you're going to get paid if you get a deal done, but it translates more into spending the time with you guys and giving you guys the time to do that. That's significant. That's huge. And you've kind of uncovered with and we won't reveal it here, but with your process and how you're doing things, you've kind of uncovered a process, a methodology where you're getting these kinds of guys contacting you saying, hey, I got an interest in what you guys got going on. Can you help me? Can you help me sell a property?
Something that really clicked 2 weeks ago was we were sending out some of our stuff, like some of our advertising out to people who had bigger units, and we thought that we had sent something to this company that owns over 10,000.
Probably a little bit more, but yeah.
So they got like 10,000 plus units.
Yeah. And we got on our new website.
That's a few units.
Right.
10,000, that's a few.
So on our new website, at the bottom of it, you can fill out if you're a buyer or seller, or you want to start getting our direct monthly mailing that we just send to people who own apartment properties. Mm-hmm. And they went on our website, signed up as a buyer, and then emailed Trot and I saying, we'd like to be in your buyer pool. Anything you have, send it our way. Mm-hmm. And I don't even think we've reached out to them before.
We sent them something, but nothing, like there was no conversation. There was not.
So there was no dialogue at all?
No.
So that was kind of a cool moment, like, okay, now we got to get something moving. There's people outside that we haven't had full-on conversations with that now kind of know what we're up to and what we can bring to the table.
And these are big dogs you're talking to.
Yes.
And not that, we do a lot of business, and you guys do a lot of business with folks that, own 12 units, 8 units, 4 units, whatever it is. We do a lot of that. And that's kind of the bread and butter part of it. But you got those folks that, we'll just call them sophisticated. They're pretty sophisticated, and they're spending the time having conversations with you guys, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's not something I'm ready to have those conversations, but it's not something I thought I was going to be having.
Or is having the conversations with those guys harder or easier than you thought it would be?
Much easier.
Much easier.
They're just normal people. They're a lot of times their criteria, their underwriting is a little bit more in depth, but it all falls on the same baseline of real estate, and so it's no different. The conversations might be a little bit more in depth, but they're not, out of the ordinary, weird. Yeah, it's a lot easier too. They're just normal people, I would say, which I wouldn't have particularly anticipated to begin with. I remember the first time we got a call from, let's call him a big dog. What do we do? How do we? And then he's like, all right, we just have to talk to him. And so we talked to him, and now it's just like a normal guy, But yeah, far easier.
Yeah. There's an old way of looking at things that you guys have probably heard this somehow, some way from someone, where you don't really want to judge a book by its cover. So it's the story of the guy that comes in the bank and he's wearing his overalls and he's dirty, he kind of smells, and the bank teller is like, oh, geez, what's going on here? And only find out, the guy's worth several $1 million, has thousands of acres of land, that kind of thing. And, when you are talking about people like that, most people like that are down to earth, and I actually look forward to having a conversation with you. It is sometimes their representatives or their, I'll call them go-betweens, that are a little bit more difficult to deal with.
I would agree with that, actually, now that you say that.
More difficult to deal with. Because part of their job is to protect time, effort, and energy. But if you get through to them and you have a decent conversation with them, it's something that usually locks in. And the other thing is, you guys hit the nail on the head when you said this. So I remember I'm trying to talk to a guy owns 2,000 units, 2,000 plus units. And I'm about your age. I'm like, what do I say? And finally, after a few phone conversations, he invites me to his office to give me an idea kind of what they're up to and maybe if we can help them buy some stuff, buy some more apartments. Well, I go into the office, the guy's got a T-shirt on, shorts, and he's wearing the shoes that have Velcro straps on. Okay. Do they still make Velcro strap shoes, by the way? I mean,
sure they do. He wears them.
I mean, you wear them? Yeah. You got them? All right. Probably Skechers, too. You wearing those? Or
I've had my fair share.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
And, there he was, and we had a conversation. We ended up doing business. Here's another interesting one. So, like locally here, in every market, there are, 3 or 4 people that are known to be leaders in a certain area.
We call
them
big players.
Yeah. So in this market where we're at, this guy was a big player, and, I'm talking to him, and so I go to his house. And remember, this is a big player that owns, tens of millions of dollars of real estate. So I walk in and I sit down in his living room. He's in a rocking chair. I'm sitting in a chair, and there's carpeting in the living room. You know what's all over the carpeting? Dog pee. Dog pee everywhere. So in other words, dog peed there, dog peed there, dog peed there. And the little dog's running around, and, oh yeah, don't mind the dog pee. She likes to pee, and we try to keep up with her. We got to get the carpets clean. I'm just saying, this guy owned a ton of real estate, and I'm having a conversation with him between carpet that had dog pee all over it.
Yeah.
Right. And what most people think they don't want to talk to him. Most people think it isn't like that, and then they don't end up doing anything if they're involved in any kind of sales or want to have any kind of conversation. And you guys are saying it's a lot different than what you thought it would be. Right.
Yeah, and I think the first big deal, I wasn't super involved. It was when I was working as your assistant,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't remember. I mean, it was probably, I don't know, $5 million or something like that, and it was really funny to me because the guy selling it and the guy buying it walk in, they're just in shorts and a T-shirt, and all the bankers were in suits and ties and all professional, and you guys were just like, "What's up? How's it going?" It was really funny. And that was kind of my first taste of it. And
we're in Iowa, so maybe it's a little different here. Right. I mean, versus big city. I mean, there's probably a little bit of that. But yeah. What other things? So let's say that surprised you. Okay, dealing with guys like that, a little easier to deal with than what you thought. Conversations a little bit easier. Getting the kind of in the volume of business that you guys have been able to generate. I think most of that is in one way or another kind of a surprise. What other surprises have you run into that might either be really, really good or maybe a surprise that's like, I didn't really know that was the case. Anything come to mind?
Another good one was we're 26, and a lot of the real estate owners are older. I was a little nervous to get in front of these guys because they'd be like, well, why would I pick you if you've only been doing it for X amount of years, and I can go down the road and pick that guy.
Let me interrupt you. Tell the story about the guy that you first met with the $20+ million listing. What was the first thing he asked you?
Well, what did we give him?
We gave him 3 offers of over $20 million. First thing he said was, "How long have you guys been doing this?" And it wasn't like
disrespectful.
No, it was just he was just kind of surprised when a couple kids, in terms of what he's used to, walked in the room with those offers, and I was a little thrown off at first. I was like, I hope that doesn't matter, and it ended up, I mean, he gave us the time of the day, and he's worked with us, and it's been great. I'd say that was a big surprise for me. Nobody really cares if you know what you're talking about and you're willing to, do whatever it takes for them, to get a deal done or anything really. So,
Isaiah, what about you? Anything coming to mind?
Due diligence.
Talk about that a little bit.
With these, so if you buy, most of our business comes from 4, 8, 12 plexes, but yeah, we can get it under contract and sold all within like 30, 40 days. But with these bigger deals, it obviously takes longer. But with these 4 plexes, sometimes people will be like, oh, I'm going to waive inspections. As long as I just go through the units, I'm fine. Or, all right, I'm going to hire an inspector. Mm-hmm. They'll be there for 4 hours and we'll call it good. With the bigger deals, it is not just one day. It may be one day to go in all the units, but then the due diligence for underwriting, they need to make sure they have engineers around. They're checking every single thing, ins and outs of the property, which I understand. You're buying millions of dollars of property, not just your $240,000 fourplex. Mm-hmm. So with all the due diligence and everything going on in the background while the deal's under contract, that definitely surprised me. And it's kind of different because we learned from you. Just as long as you see everything, you know what you're looking at. You've been doing this long enough. It was just kind of surprising.
Well, it's funny that part starts before it's even our contract. The contract back and forth takes quite a bit of time relative to your normal mom and pop fourplex.
And we weren't even involved.
No,
because
a lot of times,
attorney.
It's attorney to attorney, and there's some involvement, but not a whole lot.
Right.
I mean, it's more so relaying messages and if you can think of an idea of how to fix something within the contract, sure. But yeah, a lot of the conversations takes a few weeks, few months, to go back and forth in terms of the contracts, and then that's when the due diligence starts, which again is a little more extensive, a little more in depth than a lot of the deals that we're used to doing. So.
Hey guys, a lot of people contact me and want to know where are the best resources when it comes to investing in multifamily. Where can I go? And the obvious answer is DarrenGarman.com. 99.9% of all of the items on the website are absolutely free. Start making that multifamily investment that you've been thinking about a great reality.
I had you guys. I don't know if I talked to you guys about this. Maybe you knew about this. Whenever we buy something, I always look at all the units.
Yep.
And I mean that's kind of always been the case. Probably always will be. But there are a lot of people that don't look at any of them, which is kind of surprising. So you guys know about our 100 unit property on the southwest side, and that deal isn't closed yet. But those guys buying it did something I've never seen before. They came in, 4 or 5 of them, 100 units. They came in and they looked at, I want to say between them, maybe 20, 25 units. That was it. They hired a company to come in and inspect everything. So they came, looked at 25 units, they left, they hired a company, paid them a fee to go in, inspect all the units, and then produce a report to them. So they didn't even walk through or check out 75% of the units. They're leaving it up to somebody else to do it and paying them to give them a report to do that.
It's funny. There's no right way to do it. You think that whatever you're doing is the right one, and then you see someone else do it and they're succeeding, mm-hmm. And so it's just whatever the person that's doing it can stomach, There's not a single right reason. And same with, underwriting. Everyone underwrites differently. And, it seems to work out it can for everybody differently. So.
Yeah. Let me ask you guys one more question. Talk about how some of your personal habits have changed over the last year. So you're in the sales business, right? You got sales business, you know. Of course, we sat down and I basically went over a bunch of stuff with you, and you're pretty much, okay, go, here you go. But we never really talked about anything on the personal side of things in terms of things like time management. How many hours should I work? What should I be doing? You know, all of those kinds of things that outside of the office could be just as important to how well you do in the office. I'll just put it that way. So talk a little bit about if you got anything off the top of your head on maybe how maybe you guys haven't changed at all. I don't know. Talk about how maybe you might have changed some of your personal habits compared to, let's say, maybe a year ago.
Well, I think that at the beginning of the year, you gave us a playbook, an agent's playbook, and it's like 50 pages long. I mean, you spent a lot of time making that, and but there was a section in there about your schedule, and it was your schedule from like when you wake up to when you go to bed, basically, and it was how much time you need to spend working out, how much time you need to spend reading, how much time you need to spend with your significant other, and so I've taken that pretty seriously, I would say.
Good.
And before I wasn't as intentional with, really anything I was doing. And when you break it down the way you broke it down, it makes it a lot easier to like realize, okay, I haven't spent, more than 30 minutes a day with my wife for the last 3 weeks. But when you're like, look into it and you're like, okay, well, when I get home, I'm going to spend time with my wife type of thing. Or, you in your thing, you said read before bed or read when you wake up, but I find it a lot easier to read for 30 minutes to an hour before I go to bed. And so, I switched that around. But again, if it just says read, I probably won't read, but if I schedule it and make it, a habit in a certain time of the day, then it, becomes that sort of habit. So.
Yeah. It was kind of a big game changer for me when I quit the job at the prison. I'm starting to sell real estate. I got one child, and Madison was, I don't know how old she was at that time. I want to say like maybe 1 or 2 years old, maybe. And it's kind of like, oh shit, I got to like do something. And the interesting thing is, which isn't like surprising, but unless you get good at focusing your time on the things that are going to be the most productive, that's where I think most people have problems. Maybe not even in the sales world, because your personal side and what you do personally and how you do it personally, how you spend your time personally, has just as much impact on your success as a business guy than just focusing on the business stuff. Because a lot of guys like us will focus on and try to get information, how to be better at sales or prospecting or business and all that, but you rarely spend time on the other stuff. The other stuff is actually more important in how well you do than that stuff. So when I started, and it was hard because, especially when you're not used to being a self-starter and making things happen for yourself and not dependent on like an employer or somebody like that. Isaiah, what about you?
Well, a lot of things. I feel like in the last couple of years I've changed a lot.
You made a lot of changes.
Yeah.
Yeah. You made a lot of changes.
I don't drink alcohol anymore. I haven't drank in 9 months and 11 days.
That's huge, by the way.
And I've read last year a lot, but this year's like, all right, I'm going to read a book a month.
Mm-hmm.
And I've stuck to that, except I'm getting really close to getting behind this month.
Mm-hmm.
I will be honest. I've not been doing good in June. I started a book, and I think I'm only like 4 chapters in, so I got to catch up. But I never, ever read books, like at all. Throughout college. No, I don't. but they're all books that obviously are either self-help or how to get better in sales or business. And just trying to focus more on work has made me choose how and who I spend my time with and what certain things. So like I've been really good at lying and telling people I can't do something when I obviously can do it. I just know it's not in my best interest
To
or
do
not
it.
best.
Yeah.
And a lot of my friends still don't get it. I think they will obviously eventually. We're just kind of in different stages of our lives, but Trot's like the only friend that I have that understands why I'm doing certain things, why I'm not doing certain things. And to the rest of them, it's just kind of like, dude, come on, but they just don't get it yet.
Yeah.
But because of that, my relationships in my life have been a lot better. Like I said, the way I spend my time has been narrowed into things where I actually want to do them. Like I get joy out of doing the things I want to do, and I'm not just doing something because I feel obligated to. For someone who I've known for a while, so I feel like I should go hang out with them, but in reality, I'm just wasting my time.
Yeah, for sure. That's a tough one too. The spending time with people that you feel obligated to spend time with, because you got that relationship with them. That's a hard one. That's a real hard one. So guys, before we wrap up for today, what do you guys see in between now and the end of the year? What do you guys see happening?
Well, I think we need to figure out a name for the podcast first. I think we need to see that between the now and the end of the year.
Oh, we got 6 months to work on this?
Yeah.
We're recording this in June, almost July.
We're going to call this, for now, interim. It's going to be the podcast.
The podcast.
Yep, we're going to call it the podcast for now. So I think that's what I expect from the end of the year so far. I expect to get a handful new clients from now to the end of the year, because a lot of them, we've gotten into new markets, and so we've, the first time they've ever heard from us was, January, and then, a few times since then, and so, a lot of times it takes, at least a year, a lot of times years to develop that relationship. And so I expect a few more new clients in newer markets by the end of the year. Is kind of what we're anticipating. So.
I got a call yesterday, excuse me, from Joe. Told you about Joe? And I didn't tell you guys why Joe called me.
No, you're not.
I didn't tell you why Joe called me. So Joe calls me. His real name is Joe, by the way. So Joe calls me, and I don't know who Joe is. Never talked to him. And he says he's got some property and wants to sell some property. Not just one property, but 3. He's got 3 properties he wants to sell. And he made a point of saying, I usually don't call people if I'm not serious. So just so you know, I am serious. I want to do something. I want to work on getting these properties sold. Okay. I still don't know who Joe is.
I figured he's a long-term client of yours.
No, don't know him. I don't know Joe. So here's what Joe tells me. He says, I called you because you seem like the kind of guy that I would really like to work with. Okay. I still don't know who Joe is. Have you seen me? I don't know. I'm getting to the punchline. Here it is. Somehow Joe has been getting my newsletter for the last 15 years. I don't know how he got on the list. Because these got to be smaller apartment buildings. So I'm not sure about the properties yet, but they got to be smaller apartment buildings. So he's been on my newsletter list now for going on 15 years. The guy for 15 years has been getting in the mail every month, maybe read some issues, threw a few issues out, didn't bother to look at them. But when he decided, to your point, when they're ready to sell, that's when they're ready. And so he said, yeah, you seem like the kind of, based on your newsletters and what I read in there, I think you're the kind of guy that I want to work with. Okay. So the timing thing, obviously, and you said it, could be a year, could be 3 years, could be longer, is huge, because we're always ready, but they're going to be ready when they're ready. And we just want
We just want to be the kind of guy that they think they would want to do business with, kind of guy, that's on their mind. So I knew I didn't tell you guys that, but that's where Joe came from. That's Joe's story. You'll find out more because you're meeting Joe
Monday.
Yeah. Z, what about you?
The beginning of the year, Trot and I made a list of goals that we wanted to hit, and like we said when we started the podcast, we weren't expecting it. We were way ahead of what we were expecting.
To be honest with you, I thought the goals that we set were far-fetched, and now it's like halfway through the year we're gonna smash them. So
good.
Our goal, one of them was sell 2 48 units and above properties, and by next month we'll hit that, both of them. So I'd like to try to get bigger communities done. Hopefully, maybe 2 more, maybe 3, not just 1 more. So if we can double the goal that we both kind of thought wasn't really realistic, that would be awesome. Then next year we can have, all right, well, now we need 8 of those.
Yeah.
The year after that, well, we need 12, and then we'll just continue building and building.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's awesome. That's awesome. And you guys are having the, how do I want to say this?
Fun.
You guys are having fun. And by the way, when my office is next to yours, and hearing the conversations you guys have and the arguments you have and the fun you have, and it's just, it's absolutely hilarious. And it's fun for me too. It's fun for me too. So guys, do you think I should tell people that if they want to tune in to more episodes, they should subscribe to the channel? Or, do you think we should give any contact information out if anybody wants to reach out to us? Do you think that'd be a good idea?
we'll put it in the description.
And what do they
Link
call
below.
them?
Link below.
They call it show notes and show
link here.
notes.
And link here.
Yeah, link. Yeah, yeah. I'll just leave.
One of the lucky subscribers will receive a free visit from Trot, Darren, and Isaiah.
A free visit.
Free visit.
Yeah.
Unless it's Dan Talley down in.
He doesn't want.
Arizona.
He doesn't want to visit.
No, he does. But I'm not going back to the lead after 2 weeks ago.
You're not going. Okay.
Nope.
Okay. All right. Well, guys, thanks. Good talking to you guys. And for those of you that have tuned in and watched the podcast, all of our contact information is around here somewhere. Obviously, if you like what we talked about, subscribe. We're going to have obviously more conversations about this. I mean, hell, what did we cover today? We covered weddings. We covered sales. What we've been up to. We covered what you guys are kind of, where you're at kind of philosophically with stuff. We covered that. What else did we cover today?
2026 outlook, what we're expecting.
Yeah.
Including a new podcast name.
Isaiah drank quite a bit of coffee with ice in it.
Yeah, I got to pee. But
I mean, geez.
I didn't know you were starting the podcast with the wedding question first until like 2 minutes into it. I'm like, oh, he's going to roll with this.
Yeah.
I thought you were just shooting the shit with us.
Oh.
Just like, so, hey.
Oh, no, we got to start with that.
Yeah. All right,
We got to start with that. Because what most podcasts would do is they'd say, okay, let's talk about what you've got set up for your, for your goals and objectives this year and where you're at. And, which there's nothing wrong with that, but.
Someone's going to comment, starts at 9:16. Is that going to be so they can skip right to it.
All right. See you guys. See you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining the newest episode of the podcast.
If you want to get your hands on more great multifamily real estate content, make sure you click here. If you want to invest passively in great multifamily real estate, make sure you click here.